Hey everyone, I'm sure most of you know me. My name is Javyn McGorman. I've lived and grew up in Wapid City all my life. I'm also the lead pastor's son, so being the pastor's kid, I also grew up in the church my whole life, and it was basically my second home. So last
Hey
week,
guys, go
Doobie
ahead and take
talked
a seat.
about.
Sorry, go for it.
That's okay. So last week, Doobie talked about faith, having faith through the tough times in life, and what better fitting topic to the situation we have at hand? I mean, even my dad is talking about going through the fires and struggles in life, and Doobie did an amazing job talking about Abraham and Isaac, and talking about how we need to trust God even when He calls us to do stuff we're uncomfortable with. And if you missed last week, sucks to suck, I guess. But this week I want to talk about something that I think a lot of people are struggling with at the moment. I'm sure the whole world is struggling with it, and that's anxiety. Maybe you fear of the world ending, or maybe you fear that you'll get the virus. And if you aren't scared, that's great. But I'm almost positive everyone here, including myself, has had some sort of fear about the situation that is going on in our world right now. Satan is doing an amazing job striking fear into people's lives as we speak, and there's quite a few examples even of people in the Bible struggling with fear. Like Jonah was afraid to talk to the people of Nineveh, so he tried running away from God. In the book of Jonah, chapter 1, it says, "The Lord gave this message to Jonah, son of Amittai. Get up and go to the great city of Nineveh. Announce my judgment against it, because I have seen how wicked the people are." But Jonah got up and went in the opposite direction to get away from the Lord. He went down to the port of Joppa, where he found a ship leaving to Tarshish. He bought a ticket and went on board, hoping to escape from the Lord by sailing to Tarshish. Then he got eaten by a whale, eventually obeyed God, but he still struggled with fear. Moses was scared to talk to Pharaoh about letting God's people go. And I'd be real surprised if David wasn't even the slightest afraid to fight Goliath. Everyone struggles with fear. There's no question about it. It's something that everyone will experience one way or another. The coronavirus is something we need to be aware about, but it doesn't mean we need to fear it. Growing up, right when I hit high school around there, I started struggling with depression, social anxiety, and just overall just fear in general. And in those times, I constantly thought to myself, I will never get rid of this anxiety. It was a stronghold that I thought I could never break. And I think a lot of people also think that way whenever they go through something like that. But what if I told you we serve a God that can get rid of anxiety, get rid of the worry and fear? And the Bible is surprisingly clear about it. So, okay, how do we get rid of fear? Well, first we need to understand, where does fear come from? Well, it says in Second Timothy 1:7, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline." Or in other translations, it says a sound mind. So we know from this verse that God doesn't give us a spirit of fear. Fear is not of God. Satan is there to seek, kill, and destroy us all, no matter what it is. He tries his best to stop us from doing what God has for us. He does everything in his power to try and manipulate and scare us and make us think about the worst possible outcomes in situations. And fear is not of God, because fear is the opposite of faith. Faith is trusting in God, while on the other hand, fear is simply not trusting God. Like what Doobie spoke on last week, we need to trust God in the situations that worry us the most. I think we need to realize fear doesn't come from God, therefore, it shouldn't be a part of our lives. It may be hard to understand this, but it's our choice on whether or not to live in fear or worry, which leads me to my next point. We don't need to worry. We don't need to worry. Fear isn't something that is permanently stamped onto our lives. It's our choice whether to live in fear or not. It's our choice to focus on this pandemic or to focus on Him. Philippians 4:6 says, "Don't worry about anything, instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done." There's been many times in my life where I've needed to just stop what I'm doing, get rid of all the distractions, not focus on anything else, and just pray. There's something about talking to God and being in His presence that is so peaceful and calming. And the Bible is very clear and to the point about this. Don't worry about anything, instead, pray about everything. So next time you find yourself worrying about the coronavirus or when sports will come back or the direction of your future or anything else, just pray about it. Talk to God. Thank Him for all the blessings He's giving you. Trust in Him with all your heart because He is the God of peace, He's the God of comfort, and He will never leave you astray. And my final quote unquote tip for getting rid of fear is give your worries to God. Give your worries to God. It's not your job to worry about it. Let God handle it. In 1 Peter 5:7 says, give all your worries and cares to God, for He cares about you. Give all your worries to God, for He cares for you. He wants what's best for you. Give up all your worries. In other translations, it says, cast all your anxiety onto Him. Guys, it's not our job to handle this situation. It's God's. Now, I'm not saying to do stupid stuff and not be responsible about the things that are going on right now. I'm saying, why worry about a situation that isn't even ours to worry about? Let God handle it. If we read on in verse 8, it says, stay alert. Watch out for your great enemy, the devil. He prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Stand firm against him and be strong in your faith. Remember that your family of believers all over the world is going through the same kind of suffering you are. We as believers not only need to cast our worries to God, but we also need to stand firm and be alert and watch out for the enemy because he'll try his best to come back. He'll try and deceive us and to sneak our worries back into our lives. We need to be aware and we need to put on the armor of God and to have faith and to stand firm in order for those fears and worries to never come back. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 11 through 13 says, put on all of God's armor so that you'll be able to stand firm against the strategies of the devil. For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. Therefore, put on every piece of God's armor so you'll be able to resist the enemy in the time of evil. Then after the battle, you'll be standing firm. So we know that fear is not of God. We know that we don't need to worry about anything, and it's our choice to live in fear. And we know that we need to give our worries to God and to stand firm in faith in order for those fears to never come back. Again, it says in 1 Peter verse 9, remember that your family of believers all over the world is going through the same kind of suffering you are. We're all struggling with this pandemic, but we're not alone. We have our friends, our family, but most importantly, we have the God of comfort. I want to end on this last verse in Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10, and this has been kind of the main theme or verse that these past couple of weeks for our church, and it's just a great word of encouragement. It says, don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand. I love the ending of that verse. God is saying he will hold us up in his victorious hand. He will strengthen us and help us through the midst of all of this. And I can't wait to be victorious with God and to conquer this virus and celebrate it with all of you. So at this time, I think we're going to go into a time of worship. Dustin, if you just want to pick out a song.
Yeah.
I just want to encourage everyone to just give your worries to God. I think we all, like I said, we all struggle with fear. And I know this is kind of a troubling situation right now, but I just encourage you to pray and just talk to God and just feel his presence because he's the God of comfort and the God of peace. And so I just encourage you guys to do that. And then